Hi, I'm Neil Patel, the founder of Angels and Entrepreneurs Network. Over the last several weeks, I've been in very close contact with two game-changing founders with companies set to completely disrupt their industries. One with a market of 3.1 billion people that could give you a super fast 10x return in only 3.5 years. And the other deal is backed by the founder of Priceline.com, one of the biggest angel deals of all time. The last time we saw deals like these, the rounds closed in 9 hours. I see the possibility of that happening again. So we have to move fast. I've hired film crews and sent them on the road just so I can bring these two founders to you quickly before their deals close. Wait till you hear from Tom. He's an absolute legend, a rock star in his industry, a guy who's helped bring hours upon hours of entertainment to literally billions of people around the world. I mean, this guy has set 5 records for the Guinness Book of World Records and has been responsible for pulling in nearly $10 billion in sales from his projects. And trust me, you're going to want to listen closely to everything he says because Tom's offering you a sweetheart revenue sharing deal. That means as an investor in his startup, you get a percentage of every penny they bring in. Every time they make money, you make money. We've never had an opportunity this unique and exciting before. So to really drill down on this deal, I'm bringing on a guy who might be the foremost data expert when it comes to vetting angel deals. His name, Chris Lustrino, CEO of King's Crowd, the first and only company analyzing and rating private deals. In fact, they've literally gone through thousands of companies, all the way from brand new pre-seed companies to mature deals heading for IPO. So obviously, Chris is a heavyweight in the angel world and someone you should get to know. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, Neil, I'm so glad to be here. You know, I spent the last week or so poring over prelim paperwork for Tom's deal, and I can tell you from experience, revenue share deals can be incredibly powerful, especially if a product can scale quickly.
Chris, if you take the 3 top products on the market right now, they've raked in an incredible $51.9 billion of combined revenue in the last 7 years alone. That's just a ridiculous amount of money. The 3 products that brought in nearly $52 billion, it was the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Yep, video games. Video game consoles make crazy amounts of revenue year after year. And I believe his startup is about to launch the next big one, a brand new video game console. So unique, so simplified, so user-friendly, and so affordable, it's going to disrupt the entire massive global market. That's why I'm putting in my own money into it.
Yeah, and so am I. The market's a big one of the biggest on Earth. About 3.1 billion people play video games. We're talking about 40% of the entire world population. That's why the total addressable market is so huge. $152 billion, a figure bigger than the movie industry and the music industry combined.
Okay, Chris, looks like we're ready to bring Tom on.
Yo, welcome to my home. As you can see around me, I live, breathe video games constantly 24 hours a day.
I can tell. Now, Tom, before you tell us all about the exciting new video game console, let me tell folks all about you because you're a true icon, a force in the video game industry for 30 years. You've been a designer, product manager, producer, writer, executive, and head of both the music and video departments for some of the biggest players in the industry. You've been named one of the top 50 gaming people of all time by Game Developer magazine. You've been a major video game consultant to Sony, Microsoft, and even Apple. You have 50 industry awards and have been a major force behind over 300 games, many of them the biggest hits of all time like Madden NFL, Spider-Man, Guitar Hero, Earthworm Jim, Disney's Jungle Book, and even Aladdin. Video games have sold over 200 million units and generated 10 billion in revenue. In fact, you're in the Guinness Book World Records 5 times. So Tom, with all your amazing accomplishments, what's driving you to get this new video game console launched and on the shelves?
You know, there's a huge gaping hole in the video game industry right now. I mean, it is big enough to drive a 300-ton truck through it. See, if you add up all the people who play home consoles, we're talking like Microsoft Xbox, Sony PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and then also let's add in the hardcore PC gamers, you're talking about a crowd worldwide of about 200 million people. We're talking about 3 billion people that play mobile games So that means that less than 10% of the people who play video games in the world are playing them on those home consoles. The video game industry, which is a $150 billion a year industry, about 60% of that is money that's spent in the mobile market. So you got to ask yourself, why is that? And that's exactly what I did. And I figured out the reasons why. Modern consoles, for example, they've become way too complex, right? There's so many buttons on the controller. It's baffling for most people. You need a ton of dexterity with all those buttons,
I know what you mean. I have an Xbox controller here in front of me. Look at all these buttons. There's buttons at the top, there's buttons in the front, there's buttons in the back. You've got to be an Olympic finger athlete to work one of these things.
Well, not only that, but most of the games are, super violent too. Bad language, not really, kid friendly. A lot of sexual content, blood, gore, destruction, all that stuff. And the games for the home consoles now are very expensive. You're talking a AAA game, $60, $70, sometimes $80, up to $100 each. And then, of course, the new machines themselves, you're talking $400 to $500, and you only get one controller. So if you want to play with 2, 3, 4 people, okay, now you're going to have to spend another 60 to 70 or 80 bucks for those controllers, plus the games, plus. I mean, it might cost you over $1,000 just to play a couple of good games with a couple of friends. Very expensive for consumers. I mean, there's even a controller out there, I swear to God, it's $179 just for one controller. But to me, the biggest problem so far, though, is that gaming has become totally solitary. See, when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and even when I was working in the game industries in the 90s, we didn't have the internet, right? But when the internet became a thing in the late 90s and entered into gaming, now multiplayer gaming meant a kid in a dark room with their headphones on, right?
Yeah, and that's just the more hardcore console audience. But even casual mobile players, parents and young kids, they're hiding in a corner, head buried in their phones.
No, totally right. And remember, there are 3 billion people that play games on mobile devices. 3 billion people play on the planet with video games on this, right? Why are so many people playing on this as opposed to consoles? It's not just the hyper convenience, I always have it in my pocket. No, it's because the games are much simpler. They call games on mobile hyper casual. That's why so many people spend money on mobile. Plus families aren't playing PlayStation 4 and Xbox together. Some of them are. I don't want to generalize too much, but the overwhelming majority of people who play Xbox and PlayStation are solo players between the ages of 14 and 40. So whereas this appeals to the world because it's simple, it's easy, and it's accessible. So what sucks about playing this though, right? What sucks about playing on mobile? Well, first, playing on a small phone screen is kind of aggravating. Especially if the game has controls that you have to use your fingers for, right? And if you want to play with 2 people, good luck. You're going to share this little screen or all put your fingers on the screen? No. Second, at a recent game developer event, it was reported that Apple gets almost 1,000 game submissions a day. That's hundreds of thousands of new games a year. Android's about the same, because the same games are being submitted there as well. So add them together, iOS and Android, and you're looking at 750,000 new game submissions a year. It's crazy. Now, it takes Apple only about 2 hours to approve an app. Google Play even faster. In fact, 3 hours is like a long wait. So do you actually think that a real human being is sitting down, looking at these games, playing all the way through them? You think they have a strategy to keep the garbage out? No, they don't. I'll tell you. It's all a numbers game to them. That means zero curation, zero quality control. It's a total cesspool, too, if you have little kids. Thirdly, mobile games are nothing more than a money suck. I can tell you this. It's like, oh, the games are free, but they're not, right? They call them freemium, if you will, kind of free and premium. So here's the deal. If you don't give them your credit card or you don't give them your friends list on Facebook or your email address, then guess what? I got news for you. you're going to be getting a 30-second ad every 3 minutes. We don't have any of that stuff in our machine. No microtransactions, no in-app advertising, no loot boxes, all that stuff. Those games on mobile are being designed to suck as much money out of you, your wife, your kids, as much as possible. It's completely predatory, completely 100% bad. I mean, it's almost a crime.
Yeah, just a few weeks back, I read an article in the New York Post about a 6-year-old kid who racked up $16,000 on mom's credit card playing mobile video games.
I read that too. It's crazy, right? So, on one side, we have video game consoles, which are more for the hardcore gamers. They're expensive. They're hard for casual players because the controls are so complex. And to top it off, a lot of the games are violent and not really what you want to expose your younger kids to. And then on the other side, we have the super duper simple hyper casual games on your mobile, right? They're not as fun to play on the smaller screen. The quality is a bit lower. They nickel and dime you to death at every turn. So, we said to ourselves, look, there's gotta be a better way. There's this mile-wide gaping hole in the video game industry. What if we came up with something that was drop-dead simple, right? It was inexpensive, easy to use, and best of all, family-friendly. It would hit a part of the video game market where right now there is literally zero competition. That means we could draw from the more hardcore audience with kids that already have like multiple machines and stuff, while at the same time get a bunch of those mobile casual, hyper casual gamers turned on to a console. And we bring back the family fun. So we're aiming at families here. That's our target. No one has ever gone for them 100% hardcore before, not on purpose anyway.
What about Nintendo's Wii? Isn't that what they aimed for years ago?
That's a great example because it wasn't exactly where they were aiming, but it's where they hit. And here's the amazing thing, Neil. Let's talk about the Nintendo Wii for a second. That system did 102 million units. It generated nearly 50 billion in revenue. I mean, my mom bought a Wii, right? I'm sure you guys know a whole bunch of families, maybe Neil, even yourself, right? Families who bought a Wii who normally never played video games or bought video game consoles. Why is that? Well, because it was simple, right? Anyone could pick up and play a Wii. And because of that, it eventually became the third biggest selling video game system of all time when it was launched. So if there's one video game console that is a great comparable to ours, I'd say it's definitely the Nintendo Wii. And I mean, heck, 50 billion in revenue. Now, imagine if you could have shared revenue from the Wii launch, right? On 102 million units. Would you have bought into that deal, Neil? I know I would have.
And there's a demographic shift that's taking place right now that the Wii didn't have. You want to explain that to us?
Absolutely, because, millennials are the biggest generation to ever live on the planet Earth, right? Their parents, who are the baby boomers, they were the biggest. And then a couple years ago, that shifted, right? So now millennials are the number one generation on the planet. Now, here's what we know about millennials, right? Well, they left home later, they, got into career jobs later, they got married later, and they had kids later. So now millennials are in their early to mid 30s, right? And they're just having children now. So here in the US, you're talking about 25 million households with kids under the age of 11 years old. There has never been that many households here in the US with kids 11 and under. And the parents of those kids all grew up playing video games. And that's where we're aiming, that modern family. Now, of course, we're going to have a lot of spillover too,
So you're not going after the Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo crowd. You're going after an even bigger market. Parents who have kids. That's 25 million households, and that's just in America. Around the developed world, my research suggests there are at least 4 times that number. It's a gigantic target market. But houses with kids aren't the only market for your new console. I also read a study about older baby boomers and gaming. Are you seeing interest from seniors?
Absolutely, we are. I'm glad you brought that up. You know, a lot of studies now are showing that when seniors play video games, it slows the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia by 30%, right? I mean, think about it. It's because like your brain is like a muscle, right? And if you use it from day to day, then you're going to ward off all that negative cognitive decline, right? And those games are simple. And you know what? A ton of baby boomers played video games in college, right? And then when the Wii came out, they bought those to play with their kids or their grandkids, right? Now check this out. AARP asked me to do a feature interview in their magazine. That means 35 million seniors are going to have the opportunity to find out about what we can do for them. Now, think about it, right? Let me ask you, do you think PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox ever thought about going for that senior market? Is that where they make their bread and butter? No, of course not, right? So we have a wide open gaping hole here, Neil, and we are going to crush it.
I really love the family angle, Tom. I can see myself playing video games with my daughter. But explain what makes your system so much more family friendly than anything else out there.
The first thing is it's simple. So you don't have to train like some Olympic athlete just to work the buttons. You know, anyone can pick up and master our controller in like 5 minutes, right? Now our system comes with 2 video game controllers. Simple controller that people can understand. It's kind of like a mouse, you know, you just pick it up and you get it within a second. You know, you don't have to think about what you're doing on a mouse. It's just built to be intuitive. Well, it's the same thing with our controller. You know, you want to move your character down, you press down. You want to move them up, you press up. Then we've built a bunch of gadgets and gizmos in there to make it more modern, right? But again, keeping everything simple. So for example, we have a built-in gyroscope for like motion controls. So let's say you're driving a car or, rolling dice or something. The gyroscope technology is going to help you to steer that car and make it feel realistic. Plus, we have a built-in accelerometer for all those, remember those fun like We Like Bowling games, right? Where you need to know how hard you're throwing the ball or whatever. We also have force feedback technology in the controller, so you can feel those car crashes, or it buzzes when it's your turn or when it wants to give you a hint. And of course, have it being a touchscreen, you can even use it like you would a trackball in some of those old arcade games. And then there's the wireless contact charging. The controller just goes right back into the console and charges itself.
I love it. Simple technology, easy to use, and intuitive. This is the kind of device that can have such a massive appeal.
Oh, totally. But wait, here's one of my favorite parts. Check this out. I can actually take my controller from my system, right? And I can go over your house. I dock my controller onto your system, and guess what? It knows that it's my controller in your system, and it also knows all of the games that I own. So now we can play all of my games that I own. We can download them and play them on your system as long as I'm there in the room playing with you. How crazy is that, right? No one has ever done anything like that. But, for us, it's like we want folks to be the ones that are helping to be our, marketing team, right? Well, they're going to spread word of mouth. Hey, have you played such and such a game? No, check it out yet. Boom. And you play it right there. Now, here's something else very important. We control and curate all of the games on our system, right? So we make sure that they're all family friendly. And we have some of the most amazing family licenses out there. I mean, we're talking Sesame Street, Mattel, Major League Baseball. These are licenses we already have, but that's just the start. We're in negotiations with, I'd say, the biggest family-friendly entertainment company in the world. I'll let you guess who you think I'm talking about.
It seems perfect for Disney.
It does, doesn't it? But, here's the thing. For us, trust and value are the 2 most important things when it comes to our customers, right? That's why we curate every single game that goes on our system. And as regards to value, I mean, the best part of all is that all of our games are $9.99 or less in digital format. So when you buy a console, check this out, you get 6 full games. That's 6 full games. So we categorize our genres into 5 different categories. Edutainment, so the educational games like Sesame Street and things like that for like 7 and under, let's say. Casual games, you're talking card games, board games, dice games, where you can actually see the dice on the controller. Now, sports and recreation is another one. So as I mentioned, we already have Major League Baseball, but like recreational games too, like skiing, cornhole, shuffleboard, darts, pool, things like that. Now, another category is what I like to call retro reimagined. So we went out and we got some of the biggest retro video game licenses out there. In fact, I have an exclusive deal with Atari where we have a lot of their biggest titles like Asteroids, Missile Command, Breakout, Pong even. Other companies, stuff like Burger Time and Moon Patrol. And what I mean by retro reimagined is I take all of those graphics, we update them, right? So they're modern graphics, modern sensibilities, modern audio and music, and we add in this multiplayer couch co-op experience as well. Another category is our original games. And what's unique about those is we really create and design those around our very unique controller. So those types of games can't be played on any other console, even if we wanted to. Let me mention too, we currently have 50 games in development, and these developers are some of the best in the world, and they love the idea of everything that we're doing. They're really excited.
How do you get paid on the games?
Well, that's some more good news, right? Is that, we're approaching our ecosystem in a very unique and different way. So for us, because we're curating everything and paying for a lot of the stuff up front, our margins range from 100% on the games that we develop to around 50% to the top developers and when there's big licenses involved. So we make money on every single game, no matter who makes it. And again, keep in mind, we completely control and curate our entire ecosystem of games.
And you've got the price bar low on games at less than $10?
That's true, yes. For the digital releases, everything is $10 or less. Now compare that to these modern games that are $60 to $70. For your hardcore PlayStation and Xbox, that's what you're paying,
Right, you're at a much more casual, easy to digest game price. It's like a no-brainer for mom to say, hey, you want one of the Mattel games? No problem.
So your market is huge and your product solves a big problem. That's 2 big check marks for me. What about your team? I know you're a legend industry, and I know you've got other legends working with you.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? I knew when I started the company that the team was going to be so important. It really is the difference between a great quality product and an average one. And I kind of like to always say, the Avengers, right? Marvel Avengers, they're the super team of superheroes ready to save the world. So to me, it's like we have the Avengers of the video game industry. Let me just go over a few people on our team, right? So, for example, we have the former president of Nintendo Software Technology. I got the CEO and chairman of the board of the largest video game media house in Germany, who's our European president over there. I've got a guy who started working at Sega of America when he was 14 years old. I mean, he spent 17 years with the biggest Japanese gaming companies. He was the senior product manager for Electronic Arts, which is about a $40 billion company. He brought Dance Dance Revolution to the market, turning that franchise from 0 to $250 million in revenue. Our senior VP of Biz Dev has been involved in the industry for 40 plus years. He's brought 350 different IPs to the market, including the biggest video game of all time, Tetris. Our VP of Global Marketing used to work at Mattel as one of the global brand managers over there, right? And she was in charge of the Disney brand within Mattel. So that's a double bonus there. Here's another one. This guy's off the charts amazing. How about the guy who co-founded and co-created the Xbox, right? This guy came up with the idea of Xbox Live. He ran a whole division within Microsoft of Xbox for over a decade. I mean, this guy doesn't even need to work anymore, but he loves our idea and concept so much that he joined the team and has been making huge, huge contributions. So, this is the kind of thing that's like, really, talk about a slam dunk. We're not a bunch of yahoos who are like doing some Kickstarter project and it's like me in my garage, working on with an erector set here. These are the biggest and best industry professionals in the world who've worked and created and brought to market the greatest selling video games of all time. And we're all game makers, right? We're not suits. We all came together because we saw this huge gaping hole in the video game industry. And this is what we've created, something that's using technology to bring people and families back together.
Honestly, that really is a superstar team. Now, I have to ask the million-dollar question. How are you going to scale?
That's a great question, right? Every investor will want to know. And of course, we got it covered. One of the first things we did is we went out and we secured a $150 million line of credit for manufacturing, right? And it's backed by one of the world's richest countries. How incredible is that? Because when you think about it, you think about startup companies and it's like, oh, right, great. The product's out there. It's really cool. But how are we going to scale? Where are you going to get the money to, ramp up production and stuff? I see it on Shark Tank all the time, right? It's like, yeah, it's great, but can you please fund my purchase orders as well? So what I did is I wanted to go through every single potential red flag that a potential investor would have, and I wanted to take that off their plate. So again, I feel we're knocking it out of the park. $150 million line of credit for manufacturing, boom, we got it, right? Plus, don't forget also, we already have revenue booked. We have 100,000 purchase orders, and I'm talking from big stores. Are you ready for this? How about Walmart, GameStop, Best Buy, and of course, Amazon. And that's just in, North America, US, Canada. Over in Europe, we've partnered with Koch Media. They are one of the biggest electronics and video game distributors over there. We're in two of the biggest electronic stores across Europe, Saturn, Media Market, places like Argos in the UK. And to mention, we also have pre-sold consoles as well, over 10,000 machines already. And that's zero advertising dollars. And those commitments, we had people put $100 down deposit already because, we wanted to make sure they were serious about, if they wanted to pre-order. And again, these folks haven't even played the machine yet. They're just so excited from what we're talking about that they sent $100 just to procure a pre-order. So, here's the thing, guys. The company is built. The product is built, the games are being built, we have the manufacturing ready to go, the money in place for manufacturing, the retailers, the purchase orders, the pre-orders. The rocket ship is built, folks, and we are on the launch pad headed for the stars. We just need a little more fuel to get there. And that is really what this offering is all about.
Well, let's talk about the deal. This isn't a traditional angel deal where you get shares of stock. It's a revenue share deal where the cash starts piling up for investors from day one. But I'm curious, why did you go that route? From my experience, the last thing a startup wants to do is share their revenues, especially if they have all these pre-orders lined up.
Well, first of all, let's say I wanted to avoid traditional VC folks as much as I could. To them, it's a numbers game, right? All they care about is the numbers in the spreadsheet and averaging a 10x return. And, they would nickel and dime a company like us to death because, our product isn't out on the market yet. So, I'd rather see everyday people being able to make a 10x return than, a VC folks, right? And that's why we made this a revenue share deal to minimize the risk. That way, we make sure that the people who really believe in us get paid on the actual revenue we make. And no one from the equity investors we bring in to all the co-founders can get in the way of that revenue share. It's set in stone.
And like you said, you've already got a nice chunk of revenue that starts hitting day one after launch.
That's right. And it's about 25 million in sales too. Now, the revenue share for that cash starts getting distributed later this year too. I mean, how crazy is that, right? That you could make an angel investment today and start seeing cash within months. And look, like I said, I wanted this deal to have less risk for angels. So we're dumping a bunch of this money we're raising right now into the marketing of the product. I really want to give people the easiest win I can possibly engineer. And it goes up from there. I mean, if we do better, which I fully believe and know we will, if we hit about 25 million consoles sold, it's a 10x return for every investor involved in the revenue share.
Now look, this sounds great, but viewers should always remember that nothing's guaranteed in investing, especially with startups. So never bet more than you can afford to lose.
Here's the deal. We are going to rock this launch. I've been a winner in this industry my whole career. I don't lose. And what I've done is packed our team with other people who are winners. The most successful people in the industry for the last 2 decades are all a part of our team. But here's the real thing. I can't wait till we launch later this year, when this product is in the people's hands, when the word of mouth starts to spread. That's when it's going to really get exciting and big. The revenue share is right around the corner. We're on track to be sending out cash to investors by the end of this year.
I love the model. Neil and I are going to be covering all the bases about it with our folks shortly. But first, I just want to thank you for letting us into your house and pitching your deal to our audience.
Yes, thanks so much, Tom. We really appreciate you opening up like you just did.
No worries. I mean, really, I thank you and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. So absolute honor, and thank you so much. I hope to be talking to you soon.
I think this deal has a ton of potential. I mean, how many deals do you know where you get paid only a few months after you put in money? I can't think of any. And this company checks every box on my essential checklist perfectly. The market is huge, $152 billion, and it's still growing. And that team, 600 years of experience. They've got the guy who invented the Xbox. It's the greatest dream team that I've ever seen in a startup.
Plus, I think the timing is fabulous. Simple, affordable family gameplay is so timely right now. No one owns that space, and it's all up for grabs. They have a guaranteed $150 million manufacturing line of credit, and they can start to scale right away when they launch in the spring.
This deal definitely has a lot going for it. Like I said, it checks all the boxes. So Chris, you're an expert at revenue share deals, and you did some number crunching. Want to break it down for us?
Absolutely. Take a look at this chart, Neil. It shows all of the major game consoles since 2000. Now at the top there, we have the biggest winner to date, the PlayStation 2, that sold more than 155 million units. Now take a look at the original Wii from 2006. That's 101 million units. It's the closest comparable to Tom's gaming console. Remember, the payments will be made twice a year. So I'm going to show you how it could work out in a best case scenario. By month 8, you could have your initial investment back. By end of summer 2022, you're at a 202% return. Then things really speed up. 311% by fall, 417% by end of winter 2023, 522% by end of summer, 620% by winter, and look at that, 725%. 800%, all the way up to 998%. About 3.5 years from the launch date, you could receive a 10-bagger. That's amazing.
Yeah, considering that you're looking at just 5 years at the soonest for most angel deals to even start paying out, this is unprecedented. To be able to get paid almost immediately. A deal like this could get filled with 50 or even 100 investors. That's not very many when you're playing with the big boys. So it's important that you move fast on this. We're going to give you all the details for getting into that small group of investors at the end of this presentation. But first, let's go 1,500 miles east to our second film crew in Columbus, Ohio. They're setting up with the founder of our next exciting deal right now. I'm sure you guys have heard of Priceline.com. It was founded by a guy named Jeff Hoffman. It made him a multi-billionaire after it IPO'd, and it made a lot of other people filthy rich too.
From the first $2 million raise to a $35 billion market cap, Pricelight.com's valuation skyrocketed 1.75 million%. That's one of the best angel deals in history. A small $250 stake in Priceline could have made you millions.
That's right. Now imagine if you had Priceline's founder on your team. It would be like getting Michael Jordan on your pickup basketball team. Well, that's what we're talking about here. The founder of Priceline is a top advisor to this next startup. The brilliant thing about Jeff that he did was take an old-fashioned business like travel agencies and make it high-tech. This is a new company following the same exact model. It's taking one of the oldest businesses in existence and completely modernizing it. They're called intelligent vending machines, and you'll see what I'm talking about as soon as our film crew is done setting up. I love this startup, and once you meet their founder and CEO, I have a feeling that you're gonna love it too.
She's amazing. She's a 16-year serial entrepreneur who has founded 4 profitable companies. She's been featured by Inc. magazine on their Female Founders 100 list, on the cover of Black Enterprise magazine, and check this out. She was named 2020 Entrepreneur of the Year by Snapchat.
Looks like we're ready to roll.
Hey guys, welcome to my headquarters. I'm glad you're here because I really want to show you something.
Don, I can't wait for you to share the details on your company. And I also know that you have a very interesting backstory. Why don't you start with how you came up with this idea?
Yes, so my background is actually in event planning. I saw this one common issue at every event that I worked, from clubs to airports to convention centers. When women get tired from wearing high heels, they're forced to take their shoes off and walk barefoot. So I thought, I could solve this problem. So back in 2012, I started a business selling rollable flats. They're like ballet slippers that women can take with them on the go. Our model was to make them super convenient to buy, so we started selling them in vending machines. But I couldn't find a machine that could take credit cards and was sleek enough to go into a nightclub. So I decided to make my own. We started out with 5 vending machines like this. We placed these machines in the Atlanta airport, in Club Live and Bayside Marketplace in Miami, plus MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, just to test and see would women even buy flats out of a vending machine. Turns out they did, and in droves. I was making great money, and I knew this had big potential, so I decided to scale this business. But that's when I found out there was a really big problem that I had to solve first. Although my first machines were game changers at the time, they were still pretty low tech. They had no touch screens, no way of knowing who was shopping with the machine, no idea of the foot traffic, no idea of the people who were buying the shoes, and on, just more challenges we couldn't get past. It turns out that I wasn't alone. Many other people selling products in vending machines contacted me saying they had the same exact problem.
You saw a big problem, you solved it, and now you're out to solve it for others.
You're exactly right. Vending machines sold $7 billion in products last year alone. But vending machine operators want to increase their profits by getting more data, getting better connectivity, and truly connecting with their customers. And that's when I had an epiphany. Why not make an intelligent vending machine? We patented the machines, but it's what's inside that's going to drive our company's revenue. In fact, I brought facial recognition, machine learning, and blockchain to vending machines. For the owners of these machines, the software gives valuable sales-boosting data that they can't get anywhere else. And for the consumers who use them, the experience is as simple as shopping online, except you get your product instantly, of course. Nobody else is doing that. And this is why the real cash cow of my business is our software. It's what takes these machines 100 years into the future. For the owners, it's priceless. The machines can monitor inventory, sales, and give owners click-through and conversion rates all in real time. Plus, it constantly measures the foot traffic that's around the machine. It tells the owners what demographic is using the machine most. I'm talking about the machine actually being able to recommend specific products to users based on age and gender. Again, this kind of technology does not exist anywhere else in the industry. Look at these cameras right here. This camera counts traffic that walks by and anonymously analyzes who's around the machine, tracking their age, their gender, and it does this with 92% accuracy.
You know, that anonymity is so important, especially in this day and age. Companies that sell products need this data to help them increase sales, but people worry about giving away too much personal information. You struck a great balance there by making everything anonymous.
That's right. The software creates only a general demographic profile, like female adult or teenage male.
I really see how these tools in your software can help owners of smart vending machines make a lot more money. Not only could it offer upsells and cross-sells, but it can track inventory, tell you what's selling the best, and give you very specific data to optimize those sales. You know, the best salespeople in the world do one thing: give customers what they want. That's exactly what your software does. And I love the way it helps consumers and vending machine owners at the same time. I own a digital marketing agency. Software like yours is essential to my business. What's so amazing about your company is that you're bringing all this top notch data capture to a vending machine.
Thanks. And that's just one part of it. This screen can deliver an advertisement based on the data and the demographic profile that the machine owner wants to target. It even calculates conversion rates, transactions, and how many people walk by versus how many people actually make a purchase. Then it shows you how long these people spent at the point of sale.
That's really cool. Neil's right. It really is like there's a salesperson in the machine.
Yep, except if you own the machine, you don't have to pay for wages, you don't have to pay for health insurance, and don't have to worry about if a salesperson's late to work. The machine sells everything from Nike running shoes to Apple iPhone to Ray-Ban sunglasses. Basically, anything that can fit inside can be sold, and the best part for the customer is the machines are never pushy or annoying like salespeople can be.
That's a great point. My research shows 73% of shoppers prefer self-service retail technology over salespeople. That's why over 100 million consumers are using vending machines in the United States every day.
No wonder this is such a hot space. I see a lot of players moving into this market. Don, what kind of competition are you facing right now?
You're right, Neil. There are several startups building machines, but no one's building software like I have. Right now, we have no competition with the software. The software is made for vending machine owners, whether they're a huge multinational company selling their own products or a small mom and pop vending machine business that wants to sell a lot more product. Our goal is to dominate the industry through software and become like the Shopify of the automated retail industry.
That's really incredible. Let's look at the customers you're attracting. You have some really big names, don't you?
Yes, we have past and upcoming paid agreements with Procter & Gamble. They're the largest consumer product brand in the world. Everybody knows P&G. They own half the shopping aisle at the drugstore between Crest toothpaste, Tide laundry, and Vicks cough medicine. The list goes on and on. These guys are huge. They're a $341 billion company. We're really just thrilled to have this opportunity to work with such a big brand, and we're targeting a bunch of other companies that are just like P&G. Unfortunately, I can't name them all right now because these deals take time to close, but I do expect to have some great news coming up soon and some deals signed.
That's fantastic. If you can continue nabbing big Fortune 500 consumer product clients like Procter & Gamble, you'll sell a boatload of software.
Yes, and we're also breaking into the regulated retail market that includes liquor, cannabis, and even pharmaceuticals. In fact, we've signed on Krimmers, which is a premier cannabis shop in the Netherlands. We also have the third largest wine cellar in the world. I can't tell you the name right now because of confidentiality, but that announcement is coming soon.
Now, Don, one of the most important questions I ask every startup I invest in myself is, can they scale? So what's your growth plan?
It's really important, and we have our growth in two phases. Phase one is selling our patented intelligent kiosk with our software already installed to big retailers. Then phase two is selling our software through manufacturing partners to integrate it into the newer smart machines. This is why we partner with two manufacturers to sell our software for us. It's really a beautiful thing. So after we succeed on this plan, there's over 1 million smart machines that we could be selling to. Our software can supercharge these machines and allow their owners to make a ton more revenue from every single machine.
Well, that leads us to your revenue model. Let's go through that for everyone, because the software sounds very lucrative. I just crunched some numbers, and even getting just 10% of those machines is worth $480 million a year in annual revenue. Heck, even a mere 5% of the machines is $240 million.
That's right. We make money in two different ways. First, our main source of revenue is our monthly software subscription fee. It costs anywhere between $400 and $1,000 a month per screen.
And the best part about that revenue is the margins are very high.
That's right, Neil. We're at about 85 to 90% profit margins on the software. That's directly in line with other companies who sell software as a service. It's a high profit revenue that we get month after month after month.
But that's not all you make. You made a move like Shopify, where you're collecting revenue on sales made through your software, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. The second way we make money is through a royalty. We get a percentage of every single transaction made through our machines, and it's currently set at 2.9%.
That's amazing. A percentage of sales is a real stroke of genius. You know that 2.9% can really add up once you have a large installed base.
It's great that you have two revenue sources. You get the monthly fee, plus you're making money every time there's a sell. So tell everyone what your revenue is right now and where you're going.
Yes, so 2020 was a big year for us. We went from pre-revenue to making over $760,000 in sales. That's a tremendous milestone. We built a fabulous pipeline of deals to get us to our goal of $5.2 million in sales for 2021. That's more than 9 times the revenue we booked in 2020. And in fact, that's why we're doing this raise. So we can do more marketing, build our team, and bring new bells and whistles to our software. We're going to do everything it takes to scale up our revenue.
Dawn, thanks for taking the time to tell us about your company. We appreciate having you with us.
Thanks, Neil. It's truly my pleasure. Bye-bye, Chris.
Bye, Dawn. Hey, thanks again.
This is a fascinating company. They've really reinvented the vending machine, and they have a huge first mover's advantage. I can see why an innovator like Jeff Hoffman is involved. They definitely have unicorn potential, even though right now they're only valued at a tiny $26 million. Chris, I know you put time looking into what the future has in store for their valuation. What'd you come up with?
Well, we already talked about Shopify and its 511,000% valuation growth. But this company also compares well with highly profitable SaaS companies. Let me show you some of the best performing comparables. MuleSoft grew from a $9.4 million valuation to $6.43 billion in 11 years. That's 69,049%. Coupa Software's valuation spiked 123,277% in 12 years. And how about this? Carta, the company's valuation grew an unbelievable 432,400% in less than 7 years. Of course, these are rare and exceptional deals, but even a tiny fraction of those examples could net a small fortune. Dawn's company can do this too. Let's look at some projections. Right now, Dawn's company is working with consumer products giant Procter & Gamble. Remember, they're a $350 billion company with 65 leading brands. And every brand has dozens of products. They're clearly not the kind of company that's going to put Dawn software on just one machine. They don't even have to go big to have a few thousand of these machines all over the country. And they won't be the only customer of Dawn software. Look, they're going to have huge companies like P&G, and they're going to have mom and pop businesses like Dawn's Flats. There are so many companies that can sell products in these machines. It's endless. Electronics, beauty supplies, t-shirts, sunglasses, and don't forget wine, beer, cannabis, and even prescription drugs. Let's say they get their software on 200,000 machines in the next 5 years. That's only averaging 40,000 machines a year. That's not a big stretch when one customer could have hundreds, if not thousands of machines. Let's look at the low end of their subscription fees, $400. With 200,000 machines, this company would have subscription revenue of about $80 million per quarter. That's $320 million a year in revenue. Since SaaS companies range between 4.8 and 9.9 times revenue, at the low end of that range, that would value this company at unicorn level, $1.5 billion. That doesn't even count the 2.9% royalty on sales. Look, nothing is guaranteed in investing, but considering she has no competition and a first mover advantage, it's a very doable number.
Folks, I have complete detailed due diligence package already for you. We're going to show you how to secure your stake in a moment.
Now, its current valuation is only $26 million, but this is the last time you'll see it this cheap. All they need is 1 or 2 big deals, and you could see their valuation go up 5x or 10x over the next few years. Just remember, folks, these rounds can close fast and they can cut off without notice. In fact, last summer, they did a Reg CF that was so popular, it oversubscribed.
Chris, you're so right. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem at all, Neil. This was a lot of fun.
Now, it's important to note that startup investing comes with more risk than traditional investments. For every one big success story, there can be a dozen that don't make it. That's why it's important to never bet more than you can afford to lose. Experienced angel investors spread their money across several deals. It's all about building a portfolio. So, to all you watching, let me remind you, I have 2 unique and rare deals for you today. First, we have Tom's exciting revenue share deal. His company is launching a breakthrough video game console in the upcoming months. It's being carried by Walmart, Amazon, GameStop, and some of the biggest electronics stores in Europe. Millions are expected to be sold, and you can get a percentage of each and every sale starting this summer. It could be the fastest 10x payout in angels and entrepreneurs history. Next up, we got Dawn Startup. She's about to completely disrupt the $34 billion vending machine industry. Her intelligent machines come loaded with AI, blockchain software that could help vendors optimize and boost sales. They got paid trials with Procter & Gamble, the $341 billion consumers product company, plus two huge businesses from the $4 trillion regulated retail market. That's why this company's revenue is set to explode in 2021. Both of these deals could give you a shot at the biggest gains of your life, and both these deals could be filled quickly. So you have to hurry. So to start, I'm going to send you due diligence packages for each of these ground floor investments. In a matter of minutes, you can get all the in-depth analysis from me and my Angels and Entrepreneurs research team. We explain the cash flow and the burn rate. We detail the revenue and valuation growth projections. We provide you with the industry and competitor intel. These packages will save you dozens of hours of research. You don't need any special accreditation. In fact, you can get into these deals for between $250 and $1,000. That's all you'll need to have a shot at a small fortune. Opportunities like this are the reason I started the private deal flow. Today, I want to extend an invitation to join me. In fact, as a member of Private Deal Flow, you'll get a new deal every single month. That's 12 brand new deals that you'll have access to in the next year. All ground floor opportunities. I'm consistently tapping into my networks, trying to find the best deals. And when I do, I present it to the research team. And if it passes stringent guidelines, the team gives you a complete package on the deal. That means proprietary due diligence analysis, independent market projections, and even third-party reviews to ensure that we don't miss a single detail. All this to make sure you get the highest quality of deals. Once the research team decides the deal is right for my readers, I take it to the next level. I do a founder's hot seat video. We'll go through the founder's pitch deck, the numbers, the challenges, the competitors, and the best case scenarios for growing their company to $1 billion, just like I already did with Tom and Don's deal. In fact, since our goal is for you to be able to fund a full-scale angel portfolio, I'm cutting a huge amount off the regular retail price today. The savings could fund your early stake in Tom's revenue share deal and Don's amazing intelligence vending machine software. Plus, you'll have access to all the details on many more deals once you subscribe. It's all on our private members-only website. Our research team indicates each company we profile has a 10x, 50x, 100x, even 1000x potential. Remember, if it can't be a $1 billion unicorn, I would never tell you about it. All you have to do is click the button below to see if spots are still available. This is your big chance. Today, you can start building your multi-million-dollar angel portfolio. Not to mention the fact that our special pricing is designed to help you fund your first deals. Just click the button below to get started. You'll be taken to a page outlining your exciting member benefits. I'm Neil Patel. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you on the inside.